small groups, and welcome to our next small group series. We are really excited that all of you are coming together to grow in faith and to grow in community and connection with each other. Abby, it's good to have you on the podcast.
Thanks, Joe. Happy to be here.
Yeah, if for those of you who don't know, Abby Daniels is our communication coordinator here at St. Joe's and also our co-leader of our youth ministry.
I sure am.
And I'm Joe Tommaso. I'm the director of discipleship here at St. Joe's. We are so excited that you are stepping in to what I think, Abby, I'm sure that you feel the same way. This is a really relevant topic that we're going to dive into.
Oh, yeah. This is a good one.
So the title of our series is Here for a Reason, Finding Hope in a Higher Meaning. This series is all about recognizing that we are really here for a reason. Our lives have meaning. And ultimately, as we'll explore in this series, we find that in God, in our faith. So for today, though, Abby, we're going to start off this conversation by kind of exploring the state of affairs, so to speak. And what I mean is there are a lot of different ways that people seek fulfillment or seek meaning, or maybe even ways to distract themselves from trying to even find that meaning and just kind of fill the void with all kinds of other things. Mm-hmm. So let's just start the conversation there. You know, we're talking from a standpoint of faith, but a lot of people don't necessarily do that. So what are some other ways that people might seek fulfillment or meaning in life?
I think a big one is like measuring your worth or getting fulfillment from money or finances or success, and having all of the things that you want, and emphasis on things, finding happiness in that instead of your faith.
Yeah, it seems to me that there's just really along with that goes a lot of competitiveness. I feel like we're in a very competitive culture, and yeah, you know, I was thinking about this too before our podcast, and I think one of the things that I've recognized, even in myself, is for a long time, even as I was practicing my faith. So these kind of different paths, they can materialize even if we're living a life of faith. We can still go down these other roads of seeking fulfillment in other things. For me, it was always like, once A happens, then I'll be happy. Once B happens, then I'll really be happy. Once I get that job, or once I live in that kind of house, or in this part of town, or whatever, then I'll be happy. Always looking for something else next, because whatever it wasn't cutting it. And again, like, I was still practicing my faith, but in practice during the week, there was still a part of me that was seeking fulfillment in these things that were leaving me empty and keeping me just searching all over the place for things that weren't doing it for me. So, and then also that whole, like, you know, the grass is always greener. Mm-hmm. Like, wherever I was, whatever I was looking to or hoping to move into or do next, that looked so much better, and that was perfect, and that's when I'm going to be happy. And I think that all stemmed from just like feeling like there is this achievable perfection in life that I can get to if I just do all these things. And God, you help me to get to that perfect place, you know? And that's kind of how I was approaching it with God. But thankfully, I learned a lot, you know, looking back on that. But yeah.
I also feel like perfection for me is a big one. Like, in school, I was like straight A student, wanted to get the highest marks on everything, wanted to win every sports. Like, I was just a go-getter and I wanted to achieve everything. And I feel like that mentality is kind of stuck with me a little bit, just like wanting to be the best. And also I feel like on social media, just like this idea of perfection is huge. and people call social media like your highlight reel because you're only posting like the highlights, the best stuff, the stuff that makes you look like you have the perfect life. And I mean, that's the world we live in, where that's just what we show off to people, and that's what we find validation in.
I think we all, one way or another, sense that there is a void. Like we feel like we all at some point, I think, say there's got to be more to life than this. Like there's a part of us that just is seeking more. And what we believe in faith is the answer to that more that we're seeking is not any of those things that we've been talking about. It's God. So let's shift our conversation now to talk a little bit about, okay, if there's all those different paths that we can go down that leave us feeling empty, what does our faith say about our sense of meaning? What does our faith say about us being here for a reason? If I could just like take us, Abby, all the way to the very beginning of the Bible in Genesis. So we're probably
Way back.
we're going way back. Because our significance, the significance of our existence as human beings, goes that far back. So when God created humanity, we kind of familiar with the pattern of like on day one, God created and God called it good, and then God created and God called it good. Well, did you know that when God, on the day that God creates humanity, God looks at what he did that day and said it was very good. Humans are made in his image. So I think we hear that a lot, but the real weight and significance that carries, we cannot underestimate that. We were created, we are reflections of who God is, like the source of everything that is. That is a very significant identity. On top of that, and we miss this in the English translations, but I remember learning when I was in grad school studying this, that the language that God uses to describe humanity, language that would only be used to describe like royalty. And so humans have just like this you get the sense of like a royal significance from the beginning. By the way, that's before humans did and achieved. That's before we achieved anything on our own accord. This is just God creating us. Our faith says you are significant and you mean something, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. And who you are is created by God, and you're created out of love. So all that to say, when we're looking for purpose, meaning, and significance, it is not something that we achieve, which I think is really hard for a lot of us to hear who were brought up in that, win, achieve, earn your stripes, all that kind of stuff, that God has given us this sense of meaning and significance just in the fact that he made us. And if we're listening to God's word and if we're following Jesus was the ultimate example of what it means to be like a good human being, a life well lived. So that helps us get in touch with that, filling that emptiness, finding that meaning and significance, because we're in God's image. So if we're following God closely, we're getting closer to that and realizing the emptiness of the other things that we try to go after. He's the way. He said he's the truth. He's the life, right? So that is Jesus. If we look to him and we want to know what the Father is like, we look to Jesus. So Abby, I know I've just been talking a lot. I know you have some next steps for us, though, right? Before we'll continue the conversation on this topic of Jesus and what this really means for our lives in the next episode. But Abby, in between now and then, what do you have for us to kind of keep this going in our small groups and beyond?
Yes, I have 2 next steps for you. The first one is that part of this series of discovering what the reason that we're here for is going to include writing your own mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a mission statement is, Joe?
I do, yes. It is, here's how I define it.
Yeah.
And add to this if I'm missing something. But the way I see it is like, this statement defines and guides all of my actions.
Mm-hmm.
This is my mission, right? If
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a mission, the mission is clear. And so everything I'm going to do is going to point towards achieving that mission, accomplishing that mission.
Yeah. It's kind of like writing out like your goal. So this week we want to ask you to start reflecting on people in your life that are role models for you and people that you feel are living out their life in a way that seems like they know what their mission is. They know what they're here to do, and they have these qualities that you admire and that you look up to. And so start thinking about that. Maybe jot some notes down if there's people that come to mind and aspects and qualities about them, and hold on to those because we're going to use those for our next activity. The second call to action I have for you is that right now as a parish, we are participating in a 90 minutes of service challenge, which means that we are asking every single one of you to go out, love your neighbor, and complete at least 90 minutes of service. And we have a huge parish goal of 1,000 hours, which is really exciting because we're getting there, little bits by bits, but we need your help. We need everyone to help with this. And this is just a simple way that we're all going to help make the world a better place by starting these ripple effects of service and getting people inspired. Yeah.
So, Abby, is this something that small groups can do together?
A great idea. Absolutely. You can definitely do things together. On our website, we have a whole section of service ideas and opportunities. So there's links to things that you can sign up for, or it gives you other ideas of things that don't necessarily have like a dedicated time or sign up. And there's a whole section just for small groups with small group ideas. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you have a great conversation in your small group. We will see you next week as we continue to explore Here for a Reason. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good small group.